I can. Um, well, first of all, anyone who's tuning in, yeah, we're just basically live streaming, hearing from Michael, who's in Beirut, Lebanon, and can give us a little bit of your side of the story there and inform us a little bit. So, do you mind just introducing yourself first?
Yeah. So my name's Michael. I'm from the States, but I live now in Beirut since December. Um, I work for an NGO, and have also been part of various disaster relief kind of grassroots mutual aid initiatives, mainly in the U.S. And yeah, I'm here and live here for now. Background in, I guess, public health and community organizing.
Awesome, that's great. That's super cool. So, how long have you been in Beirut now?
Let's see. I came in December of last year, kind of in the middle of the revolution that's been happening.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
that's wild. Um, Before we get into I guess hearing your side of the story when things happened there, do you mind telling us just what's it like there right now, or what's the best way for people to help? I've put links below in the description for people to give to bigger NGOs and stuff or organizations that are on the ground. But I know there's other ways. We've been sending you money and stuff like that. But what are some of the best ways you found that people are being able to help actually see people get help in Beirut?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to say I have a limited perspective, so everything here it's filtered through what I've seen and what I'm seeing, but it was such a widespread event. It took out downtown Jemezi, Mankhayel, even Hamra, parts of it. And so anyway, all that to say is the destruction is really massive. So anything that I say, it's from my experience. So just want to kind of give that caveat, because other people that see this, or other people that see this, they might have different experiences. But I'm so happy to talk about what I've seen. So the first, I guess what I would say at first is, now it seems like the most needed thing is either donations or support for organizations that are supporting the hospital system, the medical system. So that could be through the Red Cross or the Lebanese Red Cross, or I think there are other funds set up. I'm not super aware of them, but other funds set up, or NGOs that are working to provide supplies and PPE and bandages and just supplies for the hospitals, because they've been inundated with injured victims, and then also are survivors, and also have been damaged themselves. The hospitals. So yeah, I think that's a really good way to support, especially since they have to get the hospital system back online, especially given that Corona is becoming a bigger thing here. Otherwise, in terms of supporting smaller initiatives, I would say, so right now I'm seeing a lot of small initiatives that are doing cleanup. All day yesterday and today, my street on Armenia Street that goes from Jemezi all the way to Mankhayel was just packed with people. So it seems like
Wow.
the cleanup is going really well. And honestly, from 2 days ago, or 3 days ago now, on Tuesday until today, it's night and day. Of course, you can still see that the destruction that happened, but almost all of the glass has been cleaned up on Armenia Street.
Wow.
And I mean, there's huge piles of garbage and glass and trash everywhere, but it's all kind of been swept. Honestly, Armenia Street looks cleaner than it's ever been, because they don't really keep it up regularly. But that being said, the shops are either closed for good or temporarily closed. I know a lot of people that are out of work,
Yeah.
to the ground. So
Yeah.
I would say for supporting, just like how to support on the ground, I think what people are going to need mainly is like cash assistance with rent relief, buying food, buying medicine, buying these things, like giving them enough cash to get through the next few weeks, or either cash or just, delivering supplies to individuals, to families. There are some groups that are doing that in a more organized way, and then there's some kind of more mutual aid, referring, like what we're doing is finding people in need from referrals of friends and friends of friends, and just giving them direct cash assistance, because there's many people that fall through the cracks of the NGO system for whatever reason. Um, Beyond, yeah, I mean, I would say for like people that are interested in getting involved, just do your homework on the organizations that are out there or the initiatives, and if you think the impact that they're making is legitimate, go for it. But right now, like the cleanup, it's going pretty well. I think the more needed thing is going to be economic for people that have been impacted. Lost their homes and that kind of thing. And then if you can support the medical system or the health system financially, that's I think going to be really important in the coming weeks.
What does it look like right now there in Beirut with? Because I think a lot of people know that the currency has had some crazy inflation.
Yeah.
Even in January it was already double, and now it's what is that like now there?
So when I got here in December, it was around 2,000, like 2,300 lira to Lebanese lira to $1. Normally, and the official rate is still 1,500. Um, and now it's fluctuating between. So like 3 weeks ago, it was 10,000,
Oh
which
wow,
is like
that's
what,
crazy.
8 times, like 8 times more than it was. Between 10,000 and today, I think it was in the morning it was 8,500, and then it dropped to 7,000. So
Wow, that's
the thing is,
crazy.
it's really volatile, and um, you don't know which way it's going or not. But regardless, if it's 7,000, that means that everything is almost like 7 times more expensive for Lebanese people who don't have dollars to exchange.
Yeah.
So, and the problem, I mean, the main problem is that Lebanon doesn't really produce many things, and even if they do produce, like food products or goods, they also have to import certain things, like machinery, or there's in the means of production or in the process of production, they're importing things, so those all became more expensive. So everything is raising.
Wow.
I'll give you I'll give you an example actually. Avocados, kilogram of avocados. I looked at them the other day, and they were 45,000 pounds, which at the old rate is $30 for a kilo of avocados.
Yeah.
Um, which is like completely inaccessible, to most Lebanese people, and
Yeah.
much less like Syrian refugees and Palestinian refugees, and the like migrant worker population as well. Um, so that's kind of, I guess, the economic backdrop, like
Yeah.
part of the economic backdrop to all of this.
That's wild. So I mean, it also means anyone that had most of their money in um, lira probably lost about 70% of their wealth or
Yeah,
more
exactly.
yeah, which is
And expats or people that have had, like, are able to bring dollars, they're fine. Like, they're all fine, but the majority, 90% of the, or more of the people in Lebanon, whether they be Lebanese or refugees or migrant workers, they're making money in lira, and their salaries are lower because the coronavirus situation has laid off many people, or now they're working half time,
yeah.
or not at all. So it's really dire. Like even before this happened, on Tuesday, I was hearing so many times that people are just desperate, and there've been more, like things like robberies or
Mm.
thefts because people are desperate.
Yeah.
And and there's been, I think there were a couple suicides,
Oh no.
like public suicides where people, unfortunately, were, got to that point. And yeah, and then this happened.
People who are giving now, giving USD or euros or, I mean, stronger currencies. Obviously, it's going a lot further because the exchange rate is so high. But are people being able to get USD into the country or?
Yeah, so I guess like there's different ways to do it, but the one that's official now is that you can withdraw starting yesterday. Western Union opened again, and you're able to go, and if you're being transferred like dollars from a dollars account, you can pull out dollars.
Okay.
So yes, and that's supposed to. Western Union is waiving the fees to Lebanon, I guess, until the 12th of this month, and we'll see if they extend it or not. But yeah, like you said, like even small donations go a long way, and also there are some things like medical supplies or various kind of supplies that are all imported that you can only pay for in dollars. So if you're not able to bring in dollars, it's really difficult to be able to get anything done. At least like that's how I understand it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, do you mind talking about what it was like for you when the explosion happened? What was that like from, I don't know, like an hour before it, and then going from there?
Yeah, I'll tell you my whole day.
Great.
So it was the first day. So we had a lockdown for 2 weekends in a row, and I think this was we were locked down until Monday, and then Tuesday everything was open, and Wednesday everything was open, because the virus, the cases have like skyrocketed since the beginning of July. So on Tuesday I woke up. I just was running some errands. It was a nice day, kind of sweaty, but I was enjoying it. I remember I went to like my favorite cafe and drank a nice like latte outside, socially distant from everyone. But it was like, okay, great, this is a beautiful day.
Yeah.
I even somehow like I thought of somebody that I haven't talked to in a while and decided for no reason just to like send them a nice voice note asking how they're doing and whatever. And then I got home and started working. And I was actually on a staff meeting call at 6 o'clock that started. And the explosion happened at 6:05. So I'm sitting in my living room. No, I'm sitting in my bedroom on my couch, which is I don't know if you could like upload the video that I sent you or like somehow share that or maybe later, but
Yeah.
you can see it later. But basically, my balcony is here, and then so my balcony is like on the right, and then next to it in the corner is my couch, and then on the other side of my couch to the left is my bed. So I'm sitting, and on the right is the balcony, and then the left is my bed. And so I'm sitting there on my laptop for a work call, and I hear there seem to be two explosions. So the first one, it just like rattled my door, but like there was a very like intense sound, kind of like a train going by or like a jet that's like taking off or something.
Yeah.
And I honestly thought at first, like I thought that I was hearing like planes or something, but looking back, I think it was just from the shockwave and the sound.
Wow.
And yeah, so anyway, I was sitting there. I heard the first one. I don't know why, but I decided to go out on the balcony to look to see like if other people were like out there, if like a car had crashed, or like I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
So then I looked, and my neighbor across the street, she was pointing in the sky, and I looked to where she's pointing, but the sun was in my eyes, so I couldn't see anything. So I decided, I should just go back inside and like go check on my roommate. So to the left of my bed is the door to the living room, and so I see my roommate in the living room, and I run into there, and I'm about to ask her, like, are you okay? What's going on? And as soon as I walked through my door, the big blast happened.
Wow.
Into the living room, and like we have a window on the far side of the living room. It's probably like, I guess it's like 3 meters, or like 2 meters away or something, and no, it's like 3 or 4 meters away. But anyway, I watched as like the window just shattered, and not just shattered, but like blew the glass in, and then it was like the most insane sound. Like it wasn't like a firework. It was more like it felt like you're like getting like sucked into a vortex or something. Like it was just this like I don't even know how to describe it, but it was such a strong sound, and wasn't just like the sound, but like the feeling, like you felt like impacted.
Yeah.
And my roommate and I both, like, we didn't get knocked down, but we like hit the ground because we were like, at first we thought that it was a bombing or something.
Yeah.
So we hit the ground and we checked ourselves like really quick, and neither of us had a scratch somehow.
Wow.
And then we like, we were like panicking like hardcore, like what's going on? We thought we were being attacked. I went back into my room and grabbed my phone, and when I walked into my room, the balcony doors, which were on the right side of my couch, were then on my bed, which was on the left side of my couch. So like, had I been sitting there, like I can't, like I'm sure I would have been dead or dismembered. Like,
oh my god.
Like the doors with such force to knock themselves off the hinges, shatter all the glass, and like go directly through the area where I was sitting. Like I got so lucky. And same for my roommate. She sits next, her desk is next to the window, and we looked at her room, and there was just glass like all over her computer and her desk, and it was nuts. So, but then like we had no idea that this had affected like all of these areas of Beirut. We thought that like we were getting bombed, and we expected like, one, that it was going to keep happening, but two, that it's like probably just in our area, like they're,
Yeah.
And so then we grabbed our phones and we were like, what the hell do we do? And we like hid under the table because we thought if they bomb and the building falls, like maybe the table will help us or something.
Yeah.
And so we started calling people incessantly, and I called my best friend, and he's outside of the city, so he was like, nobody knows what's happening, like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine, but I have no clue what's happening, and I was I was having stress, like acute stress reaction, so like,
sure.
just like yelling on the phone, like, what the hell is happening, like, what's going on,
Yeah.
He was like, I don't know, but like, just like, I was like, okay, I need to go, like, I need to pack up a bag, so I like ran into my room and put my passport and like all the cash that I had and like my laptop, like the things that I would need, like if I have to survive this, and run from the house or whatever. And then we just like, it felt like the time passed really strangely, and for a while, like, yeah, I think I lost a chunk of memory of like the actual house because I was just on the phone trying to call everyone to see like what was happening.
Yeah.
And as I started calling more and more people before the news came out, I realized that like these people are in other parts of the city, and the same thing happened to them.
Wow.
Like very far from us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, then reports started coming out.
What did that feel like realizing that the whole city had been affected? When you started to realize that?
For me it was a strange thing because my main thing that I was afraid of was that it was an aerial, like a bombing attack, and that you wouldn't know if it's gonna happen again or like where to go.
Yeah.
And like looking back, like there's no like comparison between what's better for a place like a bombing or like a industrial bomb. But at least
Yeah.
for me, once I was kind of reassured that it wasn't Israel or whomever bombing us, um, I at least felt like I could like walk around and like not fear that it was gonna happen again.
Yeah.
And but then on the other side, when you're calling these people and you realize that it's happening everywhere or it happened everywhere, then you start to think, oh my God, all of these friends that I don't know if they're okay, and you just have to keep calling, and then when the news, and each time you call, you're like praying that they pick up and like tell you that you're okay. Um, and like thankfully for me, all of them like either texted me or picked up right away and like told me they're okay. Except actually my roommate, because he was at work and his phone wasn't working. So
Oh, yeah.
it was like 3 hours before I heard from him, and I was just like sick, like so sick, because when we started seeing that it was in the port, like his workplace is right next to the port, and I was just like so sick. But yeah.
I mean, he
So
he works at Nazi, which is pretty
yeah,
famous place in Beirut. A lot of people know it, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody knows, especially among the young crowd. Like everybody knows Cafe Musi. It's like cheap and good food, and it's like a very open, nice place where people just chill for hours. Um, I'm really actually thankful that I think that they were. Well, I don't know if they were on like they were just doing delivery, but I know that it was like fewer people than normal because of Corona.
Hmm.
But from the photos you showed me, like the whole place is destroyed, and the hotel above it is like the structure is not intact, and he spent um, he spent most of that day like pulling people out of their rooms, and like
No way,
thankfully,
really.
yeah. And like I feel like I don't want to like tell his story too much, but
Yeah.
like it was intense. But like I said, like you start realizing that everybody was affected, and then you start fearing that like you're gonna call someone, or you're gonna forget to call someone, and then remember later, and you're gonna call them, and like they're gonna be dead, or like they're gonna be like in the hospital, or like like it's not comprehensible. Like it's really not comprehensible, the thoughts that go through your mind. And um, so then finally I realized that I was just like wandering around my house and like not knowing what to do, and like couldn't figure out if I should start cleaning or if I should keep like answering all the messages on my phone, or like if I need to get out of the house and like go somewhere safer. Like just don't know. But I've had some training in like mental health first aid, and one of the things that they talk about is like grounding, like when
Hmm.
you're having that kind of stress reaction, to like do something that will ground you back into like your body, because you can like kind of disconnect and just get in that like trauma loop. So I just said to myself, okay, like I'm gonna like sit down. I'm safe for the time being. I don't know if I'll be safe like later, but like for the time being, it was maybe like an hour after, and there wasn't another bombing. Like nothing else happened. So I sat there and I breathed like maybe for like 5 seconds, because it's like I would love to have like meditated for an hour, but like not happening. So I breathed for like a few breaths, and then my other roommate who was with me, we had a really nice like hug. Like, oh my God, thank God we're both alive. Like,
Yeah.
oh, we had a nice hug. And then she went to go clean up a cafe because she heard that people were gathering to like just start cleaning things up, even on the night of. So
Wow.
she went, and and so then I was at home, and it got dark, and I decided like, okay, like my room looks like a war zone, like if I leave now and like come back, it's gonna feel like so sickening to me to like get back whenever and like have to see this. So I said, let me just like take the big pieces of glass, like start brushing things into piles. I don't have to do much, but like let me just have a task for myself for a little bit and try to just like focus on one thing and not be like up here just like wondering if we're gonna like survive or not. And that actually helped a lot. It helped a lot. I definitely was still very like shaken, of course, which is totally normal. And then after I finished that, my roommate said she was still at the cafe, and so we decided to bring them some snacks and like water and stuff. So I went to the little market, and somehow the market, like it had happened in the little market. They were still like they were open and like
Wow.
selling people water and food and whatever. And so I went and got some like I don't know like individually wrapped things like candy bars and nuts and like water and whatever.
What
and
was
then I went
it?
to the cafe.
Sorry, really quick. What as well as you're explaining this, what was it like when you first went outside and right afterwards?
Well, like part of this whole thing is it's like very blurry, but I remember some instances. I walked. Oh, I forgot to tell you. Like, okay, so that was like what was happening to me, but then for the first like hour, it seemed it was eerily like void of sirens going off. Like it was just kind of quiet, except that like there were people like making noise, but like strangely enough, I didn't hear all that much screaming, or maybe like I blocked it out. But it seemed like most people were going outside and saying in Arabic, "Alhamdulillah as-salami," like they were checking on their neighbors and just saying like "Alhamdulillah as-salami, Alhamdulillah as-salami," and like you just heard that for like an hour. People just kind of saying that, and I was surprised.
What is that? Can you say what that
sorry.
means?
It's basically like thank God for your safety, or things like they say it when like when you arrive on a plane, they'll say Alhamdulillah as-salami, like thank God for your safety, or that you came in peace, and so yeah, like I was expecting like people to be screaming and crying, and like there was some, of course, but in my street at least, like we weren't the worst off. It was pretty bad because I think we were like 1.3 kilometers away from the blast.
Wow.
Yeah, but I was very surprised to see that like people were seemingly to just like they were like checking on each other and making sure that people were okay. And then when I actually went down on the street to go to to bring food to the cafe, I don't really remember like much, but I remember going down, and the first thing that I saw outside was like a bag of onions that had like blown out of someone's kitchen and was in the middle of the street. And I don't know why, but I decided like I needed to take a photo of this. So I took a photo of it just because it's like such a bizarre like where did these onions come from? Like what the hell? And so I like took a photo of it and was like the onion prevails. Yeah. A little bit of comedic relief, I suppose, but
Yeah.
But then, yeah, like all the power was out.
Oh, really?
Everywhere. Yeah. It was pitch black, and that's another reason why, like, when it got dark and I was in the house alone for a little bit, I just felt that started feeling super weird, and because it was dark, and so I went to go be with people that were like cleaning up, and actually, like people were pretty like calmer than I imagined they would be. But the vibes, like just the general feeling was like this weird confusion, darkness, like nobody knows what's going on. There's all these reports coming out, but they're all like seemingly rumors, and nobody really knows what's happening.
What were some of the big rumors in the beginning that people like were saying?
Yeah, the first one was that we were being attacked and they heard planes and like Israel's attacking us.
Mm.
Then Israel said that it wasn't them.
Mm.
And then the next thing was that it's a warehouse full of fireworks,
Mm.
and like apparently they have some really big fireworks. um, like I was like, really? But then like that helped me because I was like, okay, it's a warehouse. Like accidents can happen. Like it probably won't like happen. You know, there won't be a third or fourth blast. You know, and then then like it came out later that the ammonium nitrate storage, and we didn't know like why it was there or whatever, but I didn't really think that much about it. I was just like, holy shit, like this is insane. But at the same time I was comforted that it probably wouldn't happen again, because
Yeah.
had that big of a blast, it would have also ignited everything around it, like that's why it was probably such a big blast. And what else?
So when did you guys start to like? When did you guys learn what it was then from the news, or did someone make a statement, or?
No, the Lebanese government didn't say anything. Like,
Oh, really?
I didn't hear anything, and I don't think the prime minister, the president, didn't come on like for like multiple hours. The news definitely published everything, and even like what it was like way before, and even like European officials and like other Arab countries like showed solidarity before even the Lebanese government like came out and said anything about it.
Hmm.
Which like yeah, and that's another thing. Like there were no like like in certain countries, I don't know, like I guess I shouldn't necessarily compare critique, but I did notice that like there was absolutely no public information or like no form at all of like trying to disseminate information from like the government side to the public. It was like we were just finding things on our own, and like every man or woman or person for themselves.
Yeah.
And thankfully like Lebanese people in general, when comparing to the West, like it is more community oriented or like collectivized in some ways, like if I can generalize. And so like for example, one thing that I noticed was like everyone was going and checking on each other and like thanking God or whomever that people were okay. And then you had people like walking around with like water bottles and stuff.
Mm. Wow. What is the
So
or can I ask like what does the atmosphere feel like, kind of, or even right in the beginning? What was it? Did the atmosphere feel like amongst the people, or the Lebanese people who are out on the streets and stuff?
definitely like confusion, like shock. A lot of people were just kind of silent and like staring, like just like shocked. And then there were some people that were like talking and kind of like seemingly like trying to process what was going on. But the first day I was only in a very small area, and our area is a lot of like, it's like families, but there's a lot of young people, and the people that I saw were like, pretty young. And of course, when you go out in the streets, the people that you see are like healthy. So,
Yeah.
like if people are out in the streets at, that time of night, they're the healthy ones. So I didn't really like, I chose to like not go outside because I didn't want to see the like emergency response.
Yeah.
And like normally, like in other situations I've been in, like I've felt like good enough to go and like check on people and make sure that like if there's like anyone that needs to be transported or like helped critically. But like I couldn't bring myself to, like, what I needed in that moment is to like stay in the house and like center myself.
Yeah.
And then I came back home, and like thankfully my other roommate that he was back, and like I was like, oh my god, thank God, like he was the last person that I didn't know what his status was.
Yeah.
And so then then me and our other roommate and we sat and we were talking, and it was very like disjointed. Sorry, there's dogs apparently. It was very disjointed conversation, and none of us could make any sense of it. And we were discussing the rumors and discussing, everything and what happened. The specific, like each person's, chain of events or whatever. And it was very like overwhelming, just hearing like everyone's stories and how like all of us were like seconds away from like death.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and then um, one of my friends who was on the other side of, or in, kind of on the other side of Beirut in like Hamra. He works there, and he said that like since I didn't have a place to stay, he said like he'd come pick me up and take me to his place because it wasn't damaged. And so he came, and then we cleaned up a little bit, and then we went to his place. But and people started showing up at our place, like friends of ours who didn't have any home anymore. Like their home was like totally destroyed.
Yeah.
So they started showing up, and like I was glad that like we had a house that at least like it was a mess. It was glass everywhere and like doors broken up, and like all of our stuff in the kitchen had fallen, but like the structure itself was still mostly intact.
Yeah.
And I was glad that like people came over and like could like be with people they love, but at the same time like the coronavirus situation has been getting way worse here, and I just started thinking like, oh my god, like this disaster happened, and then the amount of social interaction that's like forced on us that we kind of need in like many ways, but also like just like thinking about it in the next like 2-3 weeks, I'm really like terrified that it's gonna be bad. So we left, and yeah, and then for me at least, the last 2 days. So it happened Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and now it's Friday. Yeah, Wednesday and Thursday, like I decided I was just gonna sleep in on Wednesday as long as I possibly could. I was a little worried that I was gonna be like waking up in the middle of the night or whatever, but thankfully I didn't. I slept through the night, and then my friend and I woke up late, and we made a big breakfast, and like I had this feeling of like, oh, we need to get to the city and like clean up, but I decided, and I've decided this a while ago, is like I have to take care of myself first, because like if I'm not taking care of myself, like I'm gonna be useless or like getting in the way of people.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I get out there and it's overwhelming and I'm gonna need support, like then I'm not, like that's fine, but like if I want to be helping, I need to take care of myself. So yeah, we didn't get out until like maybe 3 p.m. then on Wednesday, and by the time we got out, actually they had cleaned up so much of Armenia Street, which is like the main street in Mamukhay. Like there was glass everywhere, but like there were piles of glass, instead of like the streets were still full of glass, but it was obviously like better just from like the morning of cleanup. And there were like tons of people out on the streets. Like at this point, it wasn't organized. It seemed like just like the people who owned the shops, or people who the tenants that lived in the buildings, all cleaning up. And I guess that's kind of, or even before that. Well, let me just finish the kind of like the highlighting the 3 days. So yeah, 2 days ago was like a lot of cleanup done. We ended up getting at least like our 3 rooms cleaned up, and then we did the like living space in the kitchen yesterday. And now to the point where like you walk into our house and basically it looks the same, but there's no windows and no doors. And
oh no!
Yeah,
do you guys have AC? Is it in summertime?
Oh yeah, there's no. Oh, well, I mean there is AC. Like the power came back on now, but there's no windows, so we can't use the AC.
Oh no.
Yeah. But I mean that's the least of our worries.
Yeah.
And then so the first day after, it was a lot of It was a lot of like random cleanup and kind of like nobody really knew what to do, but like we needed to at least move the glass from somewhere to a pile that like somebody could come pick up at some point.
Yeah.
But then yesterday, people had started organizing like, and it's all civil society. It's all like either individuals or groups that formed, or like some NGOs or community-based organizations, like just like getting together and organizing these like massive work parties. Like I'm in a couple WhatsApp groups, and they'll just post a location and say, hey, we're here, we're going to be here till this time, like we need this many people, can you come? And then people just show up. So it's been really awesome to see, like, and now today and yesterday you see people that are all wearing like the same shirts, and they're like from some group, and like, you know, just kind of rolling out together.
Wow.
And it's really, it's really beautiful to see. It's a bit scary because of the COVID situation, but it's beautiful to see like so many people out cleaning the streets, given that everyone just went through this like massively like, you know, intense, stress-inducing, you know, event. And for me personally, so I don't know. I don't know if you followed like what happened in Standing Rock and the whole pipeline protest in the U.S. like 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But I did some organizing there and worked with medical people, and we did some fundraising, and so I kind of had an idea of like, or not just had an idea, but I have a lot of people that know like my work from that, and were, you know, working on that campaign with me on my social media. And so I saw 2 days ago, I decided like all of my friends on social media, like 50, 60, 70 people were messaging me, oh my god, I'm so glad you're safe, because I posted that I was fine. You know, they all messaged me like, how can we help you? Like, what can we do? And I was like, well, like, honestly, like, first of all, the dollar is so strong here, and people want to give and help. And so, like, I don't have any problem, like, facilitating their giving, you know? Like, so I decided to start this, like, small little fundraiser to be able to help people that were now out of jobs, or lost their house, or, you know, they needed to do repairs in their house because their landlords don't have money, or just aren't willing to fix their houses, or they don't have food, or they can't buy medicine. And the thing is, like, NGOs help with that, but it's in some ways limited by, one, the organizational capacity, and two, like, there's like, it's not like, there's always a target population and a target activity that you do, and if you don't meet those like criteria, if like an individual doesn't meet the criteria that they have, they can't give the money because it's like they can't report on it or something. There's all these like restrictions. So I thought, you know, if my friends are willing to trust me and like a few people around me that you know, were gonna help me decide on, you know, how to disperse this, like, let's try it. And so I just put like 2 Instagram posts. I was very transparent. I said to them, you know, these are kind of the areas we're looking to support individuals or families with rent relief, food, or other like essential items, or cash. And I set it up, and then like that day, I think I raised like $4,500.
Yeah, that's
and
amazing.
And then yesterday, another like 3 something. So I actually don't know the total right now because it keeps climbing. But oh, and I also put like the orgs that I know are trusted. Like, you know, if people don't want to donate to like me as an individual who's facilitating this, like, no problem at all. Here are some orgs that you can if you're more interested in orgs. But in general, because I've built a network of like friends and friends of friends who know like what I've done, I guess, in the past or whatever, like it actually it took off a lot. And
no, I mean, I saw on your Instagram story as well. It did really well, and we also are sending you money to get to our friends in Lebanon, which is, I mean, it was at first we were looking for Western Unions and stuff, and Yeah, it's amazing what you're doing. I think a lot of people are
Yeah,
thankful.
yeah. Um, Actually, I kind of wanted to ask you, if I can, like what was it like for you seeing the news, or like, and how are you getting the news? Like, how did you make sense of like what was going on?
I mean, I'm based in Seoul, so I think I woke up to it like at 7 in the morning, and some other people had already known by that point and
Mm,
texted me, and because I think people knew that Kawhi and I had friends there, and they were asking, "Well, are your friends okay? Are you know?" And that's when I figured it out, and then we started immediately texting everyone in Beirut, and uh, yeah, we were worried, and I mean, but at that point, I think it was a lot of like BBC was just had just posted something. It was like just starting to get out on the news, so
mm-hmm.
pretty quick within a couple hours, I think, or by the middle of the day here in Korea, we had it was explained that it was this uh, at
Chemical,
the
like
yeah chemical explosion on the
industrial
port. Yeah.
accident or mismanagement or whatever.
Yeah, but I think for us too, the last person was your roommate as well. It's like that guy. We would
Yeah.
text him like everywhere, and I was pretty worried. But yeah, we had another friend of ours who works for WFP there, who hopefully we'll be able to talk to as well later. Her apartment was totally destroyed. I but she was luckily not in her apartment either, or yeah, she was luckily not in it, and it's crazy. I mean, I don't know how many. I mean, the whole city was affected, right? How and what's the population of
Most,
Beirut?
I mean, actually, I don't really know, but I can tell you that neighborhoods that were like heavily impacted, like Jemezi, definitely number one,
Yeah,
Kerestina,
yeah,
Mamkhayel, and then downtown, and then even up to like Hamra, but Ashrafia, of course, too. And I don't know too much like beyond that, except that I know that like windows were broken like for like multiple kilometers, you know.
yeah.
Um,
I mean,
but
even
I mean,
Hamra
as far
though.
as like you could, oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say Hamra. Our friend has a co-working space out there, and that was 2 kilometers away. I mean, it's already so
Yeah,
far. Like, there's no like. That's when I was
yeah,
like, oh my god, what is this? That it destroyed their space.
yeah. Um, I was gonna say, oh, funny story. So like, I tried to call like I tried to call my mom. You know, she's back in North Dakota of all places, um, and she wasn't answering because she works and she doesn't bring her phone into her job because she cleans houses and she doesn't want to like get corona on it or whatever.
Okay.
Very like smart woman, whatever.
Yeah.
But so I tried to call her and I called her like 4 times and she didn't answer. So I just like again, I was like major in shock, but I knew that the news was going to start coming out about Beirut. And so I sent my family a voice note just saying, like, hey, I'm fine. This happened. Um, Physically, I'm fine. You know, like, I'm figuring out what I'm supposed to do. I've packed a bag, like, just in case we have to evacuate with all my stuff, like, whatever. And then everybody started texting, like, oh my God, thank God you're fine, but, like, you need to get out, blah, 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 blah. And then finally, my mom calls me back, and she's like, "Hi, Michael, how are you?" And I was like, "Mom, you did not read the family WhatsApp group. Like, you need to check that and call my sister, and then you can call me back after. But I can't deal with you right now."
You need to be more
But
worried.
anyway, yeah, like I really like. I'm sorry, but like I can't explain this. Like I don't want to relive this right now. Like just here, have my sister tell you. Um, yeah, just kind of a funny story, but
Man, I
I
mean,
guess
are they terrified now? Are they asking you to come back home, or how does your family feel in all this?
no, they're used to me like living away and also like finding myself in these types of
Okay.
uh, yeah, I've like worked on hurricane relief and different things before, and I lived in Palestine for a little while.
Wow.
Um, so they're kind of used to it, but mainly they're just like, we want you to be safe. Like you have to assess, what's safe. We don't really know, from over here, but I have a really good support system in Lebanon, in Beirut. So, I'm really thankful for my family that they like trust me and but support me as well, and don't introduce another element of like anxiety, like you're gonna disappoint your family, or you're gonna like make them feel like they're so terrified, so you better like make a specific, like a certain decision because of their emotional state or whatever.
Mm.
So yeah.
Can
But then they all like when I started the fundraising, they all started sharing it and telling all their friends, and it helped boost it a lot. Um,
That's amazing.
I kind of want to tell you some stories about what we've done with it, actually.
Yeah, that would be. I mean, really quick before we do that, just for anybody who's interested. Besides, if people do want, they can still give to your PayPal or connect with you on Instagram to find out more information. Actually,
Yeah.
I should put. I'm gonna put your Instagram ID in the description. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
And it's L0GISTIX.
TIX. Logistics, yeah, with the 0 and an IX and not the CS.
IXS?
No.
Just X.
L0GISTIX.
Great. Yeah. So if anybody wants to contact you there, it's probably an easy way to do it. But also besides that, who are some of the people that you're seeing really making like a difference out in the city right now? Like which organizations top 3 that you would recommend?
Definitely the Lebanese Red Cross. I think I've heard good things. I don't know them, but I've heard good things about the Impact Lebanon Fund. And honestly, like I haven't done like enough homework on it because
Sure.
it's just been like so overwhelming. So honestly, like yeah, you would be, your opinion would, yeah. But I do see like it seems like there's a lot of orgs that are doing cleanup. So I would focus priorities on either like people that are doing like individual assistance to impacted, like or people working with now homeless people or jobless people, or organizations that are in the health sector and trying to like rebuild or support the health system as they're recovering, which is going to be a long time from now.
Yeah. And really quick, you had mentioned earlier the footage you had sent of your apartment. Was that on Instagram you sent it to me, or do you remember?
No, I don't know. I might not have sent it to you, but I can do it now.
If you send it, maybe we can look at it really quick, and then talk about what you guys been able to do with the funds.
Sure. Yeah. Let me forward this to you.
Let's see here.
Okay. I just sent it on WhatsApp.
Okay, great. Here we can look at it here. So this was, oh my gosh. So this was your room?
Yeah, it starts in my room and then it goes. Actually, I'm gonna watch it while I. So it starts in my room. Yeah, you see the doors? They were on my, like from the balcony, were on my bed, and I was sitting on the couch that you see, like to the right.
Yeah.
And then I'm walking in through our living room, and there's glass everywhere. And then when I get to my roommate's room, you can see that her window frame is just briefly. It was on her chair where she was just sitting, like it like got blown into there. And then we get to our kitchen. I think I have another one too. Let me see if I can pop that over to you quick. Of the roommate's room. Let's see.
Man,
Yeah.
looks like there's so much glass
Yeah, it's like a miracle that neither of us. I had a scratch on my knee, and that was it.
from glass.
Whoops. Sorry, I just accidentally called you. Yeah, I had a scratch on my knee. I don't know if it was from like the shards that were in the air, or if when I kneeled on the ground to like, duck from um, the I was thinking it was the air attack, so I was like on the ground
Uh,
trying to like, yeah. But anyway, I just had like that scratch and that's it. But like looking at all the glass in the room, it's like, how did that happen?
there's a window over one of the chairs. It's so crazy. It
Yeah,
just blew everything
yeah.
off.
Are you on the second
Yeah,
tier?
one of the windows was blown and landed onto the black chair. That's so
Yeah,
crazy that it just blew everything off like that.
yeah.
And then down in Jamaizi and Marmachal, it like knocked walls over even as well.
Well, so we're in like the end of Marmachel, right before you get to Bush Hamoud.
Yeah.
Um, but so yeah, like there were some walls, or like there's like the garage doors, like the shop doors that are like metal that you pull down, and some of those were like warped beyond belief, and like whole shops like blown, like the whole front windows are just like blown up, and then it was like a bar, like all the glassware is just like everywhere. And thankfully, like things aren't open, as they would have been in another night. So
Yeah.
like I'm imagining that a lot of people were safe just because of the lockdown.
Yeah. One thing, one thing too that seemed, well, I feel like I noticed from a lot of the videos and photos was like all the leaves that had been blown off trees.
Oh,
I don't
I
know.
haven't even thought about that actually.
Yeah, it was.
Huh.
I just saw everywhere from all the footage I saw. It was just like the ground was just. It seemed like, well, yeah, it was just weird to think that the leaves had been blown off the trees.
You know what? Now that you say that, I took a walk yesterday, like almost to the blast site, like to the kind of edge before you get to the port area, and I did notice that actually that like things were like bare. It just seemed like barren, and
Yeah.
and even yesterday they were cleaning up this skyscraper that was mostly glass, and then all of a sudden I heard this like waterfall of glass from like the top level just like falling off, and like it just like rained glass below it, and thankfully no one was under it, but like it's really dangerous, like the structural integrity, and like the fact that there's still like broken windows everywhere and the wind knocks them over, like whatever. It's You have to really like be careful now, and there's some areas and some bridges that they've closed and not letting people in, and
Yeah. Sorry, really quick
yeah,
too.
maybe.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say like I should probably get going soon, but I want to
Ah.
share. I want to share some of the stories from today.
Let's
The
do it.
distributions we've been doing.
A few people commented. Sorry, but Venmo or PayPal. I'm gonna put your PayPal in the description as well. Is that okay?
That's fine, and you can put. So my Venmo doesn't work here, but my sister is accepting, and then she's just direct transferring it to me. So if you want to put Venmo as well, you can, and I can text that to you.
Great. But yeah, tell us a little bit about what you guys have been able to do already with the money that's been given.
Yeah. So right now, so for the first part, like because it takes a while to actually get cash into the country from the donations. Sorry, I'm just texting you this.
Yeah, no problem.
Like for the first few distributions, I've just been like using my own cash, and then like we'll reimburse myself from the donations or whatever. So what we've done so far is Let me think. Actually, I have a list. So the first person we helped was somebody that worked with a friend of ours, and he's a Syrian refugee. He has 2 kids and his wife, and he's the main source, or the only source of income. And the place of employment is completely destroyed, and he probably won't have a job for months. Who knows?
Yeah.
And so we gave him $200 cash for his house was destroyed as well, so he has to find a new house.
Do you
We just gave him.
do you know how much people are generally living off like in a month in Beirut right now, especially like people that need money more or
Not honestly, like I know only based on like rent. Um, Rent, like my estimate of like rent and food. So like my place, and it's like 1 bedroom in a 3-bedroom apartment, and not a very nice like apartment at all.
mm-hmm.
Is 700,000 lira, which at the old rate is like $470 or something like that, 420. At the new rate, it's like between like $90 and $100 a month. So if you give if you give a family $100, that should either cover rent or almost cover rent, but depends on like what type of housing, of course, they live in. And then food, like food can be, like if you're just buying, like everything is more expensive now.
Yeah.
Like I said, like the avocados are like at the old rate $30, But if you're eating like simple things, the basics, you can get by for like between like maybe 150 and $200, a month.
Yeah.
If you have dollars. Now, if you have lira only, then it's like unfathomable. Like it's everything 7 times. Like your money is worth like 7 times less for anything that's being imported. And most things have inflated. I don't know the rates for sure, but it seems like things have gone up at least like twice. Like they're double the price, or like a little bit less than double the price, like 1.8 times what it used to be. But the salaries have all decreased. So what we've been doing is through the referrals that we're getting, or like when we find out about a family, the person that's referring to us tells us their situation, and then kind of based on like the severity of the situation, and also we ask them, to tell us like how much they think they would need to get by for the next like 2-3 weeks or something, or even longer. Then we kind of just, me and a group have been just kind of like making a determination of how much we want to give. But really, like, you can't really even give too much. Like, it's a weird balance because you can't really give too much because like it's impossible to give too much, because this is not just a disaster where people are going to recover after 2 weeks and 3 weeks, when everything's cleaned up, and then go back to work, and like, it's like people are out of jobs, people are out of, like, they can't live in their homes anymore, and their landlords don't have any money to fix their homes. So it's like, when like I think we're trying to impact as many people as we can, but also when a situation is really, like really bad for somebody, like to give them as much help as we're able to offer. So it's a balance between like wanting to help abroad, like a large number of people, but also wanting to help each person in a significant way, that will like let them take a breath at least for like a few weeks, maybe like a month.
And there's still, there's still a huge, 1 million Syrian refugees in Beirut or more. I don't know. It's a huge number of refugees still in Beirut, right?
Yeah.
And are they some of the people that probably are needing some of the most help?
Yeah, actually, so far, we have helped let's see. So the one that I told you, we've helped a Palestinian. He's lived here his whole life, but he's a Palestinian refugee, and there's all sorts of economic and racism problems and just kind of disenfranchisement that happens for Palestinians here as well. So
Yeah.
we helped him and his wife and his kid. He's been out of work even before, like because of Corona, he's been out of work for months.
Yeah.
And then we helped, today we helped a Syrian refugee and his family, another one, and then a Lebanese family we're helping. It's the Lebanese family. It's the father, he worked at the port, and then
Wow.
son and daughter who are both unemployed. And so the father is obviously unemployed. They also, so their house is okay, but like they have no source of income, and there's five in their family.
Yeah.
And then another Syrian. So I can send you like I'm keeping track of everything. I didn't prepare for
Sure,
this
sure, no
to
worries.
give you like the full
I mean, it's only been
Like,
2 or 3 days, and you guys have already done.
yeah.
That's crazy. You've already been able to help 3 families or more.
Yeah, 4 or 5 now. I think it's been four. No, five.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And of course you guys, like helping my roommate. That's amazing as well. And
Sure, yeah. I mean, if more people want to give, yeah, I mean, probably, I mean, yeah, people should just keep giving.
yeah. And like for us, like if we get to a point where we can't find any more, individuals or kind of the grassroots, thing, which really probably won't happen, but it might just be like I might get exhausted and not be able to do it
Sure,
anymore.
yeah.
If people are still wanting to give, or we have like money left, we'll we'll do everything we can to distribute like to individuals. But if it gets to a point where we can't, we will pick a solid organization that we trust and make it donation for the remaining or whatever, or just tell people, okay, we're finishing our campaign, we're going to distribute the rest of this to individuals and people in need, and then any other funds you're willing to donate, please donate to this organization, like X organization.
Yeah.
I have my best friend actually. He's an herbalist and is really connected to kind of traditional medicine and plant people and people that use plant medicine as like herb plants in a like as a healing method of healing, and it's very traditional in Lebanon, but it's kind of been this knowledge that was lost over time as like modernization happened. But there's a community of people that do this now, and there's a lot of amazing like herbs and plant allies that you can make into tinctures or make as teas, and they're really calming. They're good for nervous system. They're good for respiratory. There's different blends for respiratory, which is like the gas thing here was like a potential problem. And so they're starting a fundraiser soon, and I might help boost that out. But they're basically going to get all of these people and start sourcing all these herbs locally and having all the medicine makers start doing tea stands for the workers that are cleaning things up, and just supporting in that way. And then also kind of educating on how like this traditional medicine, it's so much more accessible than Western medicine here, and like trying to do like education on how this can be part of like a person's like wellness on a day-to-day basis. So yeah, that's exciting, and they're working with a lot of herbalists in the U.S. that are friends of ours, that are like supporting them. So
wow.
But for me, and this initiative, me and like my roommate and other close trusted just getting referrals, reaching out to people to say, if you need help, like please let us know, and we have some supporters that are just wanting to help individuals and people in need, and the responses the response from you guys have been amazing, but also the responses we're getting from the people that we're helping are like I cried today, like I just cried.
Yeah.
Let me send you this video. It's a voice note. Would you be able to play a voice note while we talk?
Yeah, I should. Yeah, I can.
Okay, let me see. Let's see.
Yeah, let's play this voice note, and then maybe you can talk briefly about where you guys see things, where you see things going forward now with Beirut, and then let me play this first though.
If you want, it's in Arabic. If you want, I can translate it. So if you just or I can just translate it afterwards.
Okay, great. Let's play it first. Let me make sure I can find it here. There's some. Maybe you can just. I think because we're on the call, it won't be loud enough. Or yeah, you can play it from there, through your speakers.
Yeah, let's see if you can hear it. Okay. Tell me if you can hear this.
مايكل شكرا كثير لك على المساري احكي مع رفقاتك اللي باليو اس وانه جد كثير كثير شكرا.
Okay, so حبيبي Michael, like my dear Michael, thank you so much for the help, for the money. Please tell your friends from the US, like so many thanks. And then he goes on.
كمان هن عندهم ظروف مش منيحة بكورونا.
And especially because I know that in the U.S. the situation with Corona is really difficult. Seriously, thank you so much. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to thank you.
إن شاء الله بس يمشي الحال وما بنحطوا بظروف إني مش منيحة وبنضلنا دايما حد بعض.
And hopefully, like when things get better, and the problems are a bit better, we can be together, sit together, and spend time together. Literally, that part I didn't get so well, but that's the gist of it.
Yeah.
وان شاء الله كلياتنا بتصير امورنا منيحه وان شاء الله بيجي على لبنان بنشوفها انه بنعوض لهم اياها يا رب. حبيبي مايكل عن جد شكرا كثير. حبيبي مايكل.
Yeah, so just like thanks again so much. I just please tell all of the people supporting. So many thanks. I'm so thankful. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's so great. So please, people should still give. They should give money. It's making a difference. Really quick before we end, what do things look like going forward? What are people like? How long is this going to take to get people back on their feet? I mean, Beirut was already struggling beforehand, and what does things look like going forward? What are they going to need?
Honestly, I don't think that people are going to get back on their feet anytime soon. I think it's going to be a lot of, like, meeting needs, like, for a time, and then, like, unfortunately, I think that things are going to get, like, much worse economically here in the coming months. We'll see if the coronavirus situation gets worse because of all the, like, social interaction that's been happening. But I would say that, like, yeah, people can make a difference, even if it's, just to get people by for a month, and that will give them time to figure out new things, or other ways of getting support. But like the problem is bigger than this disaster. It's like like it's horrible. Like I mean, yeah, donating and also like doing advocacy. Like following the news and like trying to get involved in the like politics or like I don't know like what kind of advocacy can be done, but like maybe petitioning your local governments or your country's governments to provide aid, or I don't know. It's like the system here. It's just not set up to recover quickly. But I think the good thing is that like now more than ever, at least from my outsider perspective and from talking with Lebanese people, like it seems like people are really coming together. And so I'm hoping that something, when something gets destroyed and then you have a chance to rebuild, like they always rebuild better than it's like I was talking to my friend about this and I was like, it seems like when there's a specific system set in place that's not working for people, it's harder to get traction for an alternative system that would work for people when this existing system is still there. So in the same way, like Beirut has like basically been razed to the ground, and like now people are forced to band together and like build something new. And I am hopeful that like these new relationships and ways of showing solidarity with each other are going to become something that gets like becomes part of the culture in Beirut or the culture in Lebanon. And so I'm hoping that this kind of mutual aid and solidarity, will help in the long run as well. But right now the needs are great, and I don't think there's any answer for like when it will get better. But I do expect like economically things to get worse. Like the cleanup will be done, I think, for the most part in like a week or so. One thing I have heard is people asking if they want, like, if they can fly in and like help, in any way. I personally don't think that's useful at all, unless you're someone with a very specialized skill that like is hard to find here locally. I've been on like lots of those trips where I go and like help out because like it feels like the thing to do. But honestly, like for me, it was more of like, like I felt really awesome going somewhere, but like looking back, I could have easily just like spent my resources that I would pay on a flight to facilitate that work by somebody local.
Mm-hmm.
And also the cleanup, like it's going more or less well and quicker than I imagined. So yeah, I mean, I don't mean to be like, discouraging, and I understand where people are coming from in that end, but also to just kind of put a thought in there, like maybe the money spent on travel and whatever, and because we're still in a pandemic, could be better spent just like supporting local, initiatives that you trust or whatever.
Yeah, makes sense. That makes sense.
So, yeah, well, I feel like this was therapy actually.
Great, that's good. I'm glad, Michael.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I mean, definitely, we'll obviously still be in touch, but hopefully, I mean, if there's anyone else too that that would want to do something like this and has an interesting or great perspective that people need to hear, let us know. That we'd be happy to interview, or it'd be great to interview more people and hopefully get it out.
Cool, yeah, for sure.
But,
yeah, thank you for, like, all the support you're doing, all the, like, awareness you're raising.
No problem.
Like I said too, if you have people here that you find that need help, like of course let us know. Obviously we'll stay in touch.
Yeah, awesome, dude, Michael.
And I promise I'm smiling under this mask.
No problem. I believe you. Cool. Well, I'm probably gonna head to bed over here. It's a little bit. Yeah. I'm tired.
Yeah,
but thanks again for taking the time and being generous with your time too. I know you're working so much, and you guys, it's crazy to see from afar.
Yeah.
But
No, this felt good for me actually. I appreciate being able to like process what has been going on, and yeah, thanks so much.
no problem. All right. Well, have a good night. Um, get some rest if you can.
Yeah, cool.
All
All
right.
right, much love, peace. Thanks
See
so
ya.
much.
Yeah.
All right.
Have a good night.